there, my name's Gill Tiney. I'm from Collaboration Global, and this is our podcast, Being Human, Hidden Depths. I'm going to be interviewing some of our members from Collaboration Global, and they're going to be sharing with you their extraordinary lives. Although they would probably believe they're just normal, everyday, average humans, but they are extraordinary. A bit like you and me. We all have our story to tell. We've all been through difficult times, and we've come out the other end having learned an extraordinary amount about ourselves that we can share with others. So I think you'll find lots of things that will resonate with where you've been in your journey as well. I look forward to seeing you on the other side. Hello and welcome to Collaboration Global's podcast, Being Human, Hidden Depths. And today I am delighted to be joined by the Mr. Sunil Bhaskaran. Have I pronounced that right, Sunil?
It's Bhaskaran, but yeah, it's good. It's good. Yeah.
Close enough? I don't know. Anyway, welcome to our podcast. Now, we met fairly briefly, not so long ago, but what I love about you is your passion, your mission, and how it aligns beautifully with what Collaboration Global is about. For those of you that are listening that go, what the hell is Collaboration Global about? I'll just remind you that we are about love, connection, collaboration, the being of it, not the doing of it, and having a space for abundance where there is enough to go around for everyone. So, Sunil, if I were to ask you what were your values, what would you say that kind of is in your heart that you put into everything that you do?
I love the way you phrase that question, what's in my heart, because the values are in my heart and my soul too. But, I have 6 cornerstones. And this is going to sound like a canned reply because I got it ready here. Who has their cornerstones ready? But I do, because I deal with them every day. They are not in order of importance, because they're all kind of important, but they are creativity, abundance, making a difference, integrity, not as necessarily as right or wrong, though that's important too, but more like putting in what's missing. So it's creativity, abundance, making a difference, integrity, well-being, and meaningful connections, which is hopefully what we're going to be talking about. I'm sure we are. Those are the 6 cornerstones that I live by.
Okay.
You could call them values too. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love it. I did remember we had a meeting once at Collaboration Global and we were talking about our values.
Yeah.
And our 3 basically love, human being first, and collaboration. And at the time we had about a dozen values, and so many values. And we said integrity, and somebody in the corner of the room went, "That's not a value." And I was like, everybody interprets these things differently, and everybody sees them from a different perspective. And that's what's lovely when you've got those kind of cornerstones. You need to discuss them and share them and understand them, because what I mean by well-being might be different to what you mean by well-being. So
correct.
Can we maybe just unpick them a little bit more? Firstly, I'd like to know how you came to these 6. And secondly, what do you mean? Can you go into a little bit more detail on each one?
I can actually, yeah. It's a long story, but I'll try to make it short, okay? For the sake of people, although it might be intriguing, may not be. But, I went through a lot of trauma in my life. And to make a long story short, I went through this trauma, and there were two traumas that occurred at a young age. One at a very young age, where I was sexually abused by a distant relative. And secondly, I made a mistake when I was young, and I went to a military prison for a couple of weeks. And in the first instance, obviously, it was sexual abuse at the age of 8 that led to me holding on to a secret for a long time, my family. And then the second case, I watched good friends of mine and myself, and can't watch myself, but experience myself being tortured, and kind of unnecessarily so, but we were tortured, and it was an experience of someone, wanting to kill you, for the first time at the tender age for me, tender age of 18. To make a long story short, because it has a good ending,
Good.
at least so far,
Mm.
which is I went through a process of mentoring, very deep therapy. I climbed every inch of that ladder of healing, every inch, like every inch, and I mean that. A lot of times it was very painful. Sometimes it was exhausting, but I climbed every inch of that ladder to the point where I had um, completion, you could say, if you could call it that, where I reunited the person who abused me with my family, and my family came to know what happened.
Wow.
And they forgave him, except for one person. They forgave him.
Wow.
And despite him denying that it happened, and it restored, for me at least, my connection with my family, etc. The second instance, I actually went back to the place where I was tortured, or the country where I was tortured, and I found the people who had tortured me. And most of them, some of them had disappeared or died. But I found the ones who were still there and held them to account in a very cool way, but in a rigorous way,
Yeah.
and then forgave them.
Oh my goodness.
And just to give you a sense, these guys cried when they saw me.
Oh.
They knew what they had done to me, and they said, "I remember you." All of them said that. And So it was a real completion, not, ha 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 ha. I'll let
No.
that, it was a real completion.
Wow.
And that led to a series of awakenings, you could say, where every day was an inquiry for me. And I got very intrigued about a field of philosophy called ontology, which is the study of the question, what does it mean to be, really? And part of it, obviously, is what does it mean to be human? To be human. We think of human being as our first name, human mostly, which is feelings and thoughts and ideas and opinions. But the being part has rarely been explored. And so I studied this field of philosophy. I had a mentor inside of that who was also a Zen Buddhist monk. And he taught me this combination of Zen and ontology was extremely useful
Okay.
for business. And we created a business that was very successful. We sold it and made a lot of money for me. But apart from the results, which were certainly breakthrough results, there was also this kind of like settling, a comfort with myself and with other people. You could say kind of like I was okay with life being insignificant and not making it too significant. In other words, not adding drama where it's not necessary. I started finding out what's so about my life, but also asking a question, so what? Not so what as dismissive, but so what as what's really important for me. And in the course of that inquiry, I like a lot of other people who are in exploration, they start looking at what are my true values? What are the things that are really important for me? So the six that I quoted are really a product of very deep, rigorous inquiry over 40 years. Uh,
Wow.
and many, many conversations with mentors and people that I've coached, writings that I've done. A lot of writing really is about thinking very deeply, and experiencing life very deeply, and then having thoughts from that. So, I balanced out what I experienced as a truth in my real life against these six cornerstones. And I discovered that one thing I wasn't really that concerned about in life was, or not as much, was this whole idea of making it. I discovered at some point, fortunately, that the ladders I was trying to climb to get to the other side, my ambitions, etc., were not going to get me to the other side. They would get me somewhere. Listen, it's power and ambition, but it wasn't going to get me to that nirvana state that I thought, oh, the heavens will open up. And, you know, And that realization was a little depressing, but at the same time, it was freeing. Like it was a relief. I didn't have to prove myself. I didn't have to defend anything. And there was kind of like an unprotected state about me. Like, there was nothing to defend, protect,
Yeah.
parry, fight. I didn't have to do any of that anymore. And if I didn't have to do that anymore, what would I do?
Yeah.
And so that inquiry led to, well, what would I do? Who would I be? What context would I come from? And that started opening up these 6 cornerstones. And there were other cornerstones initially, but they were based more on my past need for survival, or you could say false ambition in some sense, the things that I thought I needed to do or accomplish, but that weren't that important when I look back on it. And so in the course of inquiring, looking at what was really important, one thing that kept coming up for me was my creativity, which is actually arguably my favorite son. It's the thing it's creativity. If it was a being, it would be the one that's always by me, is my creativity. And I've always been like that from a young age. My recollection, not necessarily a biological memory, a recollection was of me being in my mother's womb. And, she was listening to Indian music and she was dancing. And she could feel me coming to the world and she was waiting to welcome me in the world. And there's a lot of love. And I recall, not remember necessarily, but kind of recall, and this came to me in many dreams. So I'm not trying to say I'm a spiritual guru or anything like that, but it came to me in many dreams.
Yeah.
That was the seed of my creativity. It became a curiosity about who is this being that wants me to so much come into the world? Why is she so curious about me? Who am I? What is this music about? And I could even feel the rhythm. And up to this day, I'm a fairly good drummer, because I can feel a rhythm in something.
Mm.
I can feel a rhythm in how you speak or someone else speaks. And so there's a lot of creativity that's wound up in rhythm and timing
Yeah.
and memories of feminine versus masculine and all of that. And the creativity also gave birth to this inquiry of what does it mean to have a lot? What does it mean? Why is that so important? And why do people get caught up in the money world? Because
Yeah.
I did as well. And is there another context to abundance that's more free? Because when I look at the clients that I serve, many of them were not free, not all of them. Many of them were not free in their pursuit of money. They were in a prison themselves,
Mm.
of envy, of jealousy, of wanting more, no matter what it was. And they were told they had to be ambitious. And so they were in a prison.
Yeah.
And instead of enjoying themselves, they were starkly unhappy. Why is that? So that inquiry opened up and led to abundance. Um, and then, so on and so forth. Integrity was initially a prison as well, because I started only looking at integrity as what is right and what is wrong. And there was no flexibility.
Yeah.
Um, in fact, there was a lot of chaos and lack of order, you could say. But, so yeah, I feel like I'm talking a lot here.
It's fascinating because what I see is is a mirror of what you've gone through. Not obviously your trauma. I've been blessed not to have that much trauma. I've had some, but not that much.
Sure.
And also the fact that you let that go is just beyond special, and it takes something. And but then when you have that power to let something go like that, then you have to use that power for good, and that's where you've channeled it into what you're doing now. And I look at
I'll
these
be
things.
very honest with you.
Yeah,
It may have been moralistic at some point, like I felt like I had to do good with it.
yeah,
But the
yeah.
truth is, I came to a very truthful point where I couldn't give a rat's ass, a quarter of a rat's ass, whether I did good or not.
Right.
It came to a point where I realized that even that was kind of a trap for me. I'm not talking for anybody else. I can't. And I hope nobody takes offense at this because it's not directed at anybody. It's something I saw for myself. That that was a trap for me. And when I saw that, it opened up the world of choice. Really, truly choosing something because you chose it without any reason. Because the moment I had a reason, I could start using that reason to bash people over the head.
Right. Yeah. Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
truthfully, it became a choice, and yeah, there's some good reasons to be creative for sure. But those reasons are damn good ones.
Well, I was just thinking about the very essence of who you are and the soul within you. If you took, I mean, you've only mentioned the first three so far, and we'll come to the other three, but creativity, abundance, and integrity. If, for example, let's take creativity, if you were to
Yeah,
take that away from you, if that was like you're not allowed to be creative anymore, we're taking it away. This is not something you possess, this ability to be creative, this ability to hear rhythm, this ability to be part of the music. You would be a shell. There would be nothing
yeah,
left of you, would there?
I'd be nothing left, but probably the creativity would kick back again.
Well, yeah, but so what I'm saying is
Yeah,
the
yeah,
values, you haven't chosen the values have chosen you. I think
yeah,
that's the way I
yeah.
see it. And
But
I was
sorry,
just
go
going to
ahead.
say, going back to choice, I don't know if you've read the book The Choice by Edith Eger, which is about a woman that was in a concentration camp, and the choices that she had and the choices that she made throughout her life.
Yeah,
Even when we feel like we have no choice at all, not choosing is also a choice.
sure.
And
Yeah,
that you choosing all of these wonderful values, and anybody that's listening who's going through that process, it's not a
mhm,
one-off session with your business coach, it's not a one-off session with your psychoanalyst to find what your values are. As you said, it's taken you years and years to come to hone in on what these six are, but mean that it's like the building blocks of who Sunil is. And when you
yeah,
say these things, it might sound flippant, but it carries such a weight for the person that you have become, the human that you have generated from a difficult start all the way through to where you are now. And then you are giving to other people. Now, you've not gone, I want to be a good person, so I'm going to go and give to other people. And you've got a mission to create 100 million joyful and successful people. That
yeah.
sounds very trite when you say it out loud like that, just as a
It
one-off.
does.
But the
Yeah,
person that you are and the way you are explaining your values
yeah,
has such power behind it that
yeah,
anything else you say afterwards, I'm going to sit here and go, he's going to do that. He's definitely
yeah.
going
I'm
to do
going
that because I have no doubt. So carry on with where you were. You've the creativity, the abundance, and the integrity
yeah.
are institutionalized. No, that's the wrong word. Um,
You could
encom-
say that constitutionalized, maybe, it became part of who I am, right?
yes, yes,
Just like the constitution of any country, you
yes,
you you practice it enough times, you don't have to necessarily, read it out all the time. It just becomes part and parcel of your country or you.
yeah,
And so, yeah, if you practice it every day, like I do, I mean, I look at my values every day. My selections, my decisions are all made from the six cornerstones.
beautiful.
And so well-being became almost a no-brainer,
Yeah,
especially as I grew older. But the interesting thing is, all of these cornerstones kind of work together very well. Found that if I come from abundance and creativity and integrity from what's missing, uh, being becomes what would address my being becomes a rather simple and easy answer. Most people, when they think of well-being or people that I've interacted with, they say, well, I have to work out 18 times a day or something crazy. It usually comes from their survival needs.
yeah,
But if you really are present and you've got a lot of your past-based ambitions or complaints, dramas that have been resolved,
hmm
you kind of have a more empty mind, tabula rasa is what they call it in Latin. It's a blank slate
Yeah.
from which you can paint anything you want. And so for me, well-being became this blank slate that I could paint on, or canvas I could paint on. So what would that look like? So, when I looked at it, I got really excited about doing these Japanese style exercises every day. The Japanese are very wise about their aging.
Yeah.
And so they do, I do like sometimes a quarter of an hour to 30 minutes max, but I do it every day, more or less. I walk a little bit, take my time. I run a little bit because I enjoy running. I do a bit of hopping and skipping. And I do these Tai Chi moves, some Indian yoga moves, and it's just enough, and some strength exercises, etc. And it's just enough, to keep the body moving and the mind alert. And I don't have to stress out. I don't have to go to the gym or anything like that. I don't have to do anything. It returns to choice, but it's an easy choice for me.
Yeah.
There's a lot of flow to it. And when I miss something, I don't go, crazy or anything like that. So that's wellness. And then there's making a difference, which is from a choice. Making a difference is a privilege for me. And it's a blessing and a privilege. It's an opportunity to to make a difference for no reason apart from that you say so. So for me, it's an act of creation to do it. Because what it used to be was a moral compunction that I have to do it. And my father and my mother actually were people who loved to make a difference for their community. So a lot of that came from them. And they were very freed up about it. But I felt like because they did it, I had to do it. So I had to break that. I felt really that I had to break that parental bond and choose for myself. Not because not so much because I had to, but if I didn't, I wouldn't have any freedom in doing it. And that lack of freedom kind of gets over the people you're trying to make a difference for.
It's an obligation. It's coming from a negative space, isn't it? Yeah.
From a very kind of like almost it's a North Korean world of making a difference. It's like, it's an authoritarian way of making a difference.
Yeah. You will make a difference.
You will make a difference. Thou shalt do it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I got nothing against that except, it's just not really freeing for the people you're trying to help. And so that leads to meaningful connection, which for me is, it's lacking in the world today, but even in my neighborhood here in California, you think California should be really friendly. Not necessarily so. And then a lot of urban areas I've been to, people don't really come out and talk to each other. So for me, meaningful connection is having conversations like this, which are more about connection, intimacy, getting to know people. People are really afraid of intimacy. So I try to keep as much of an open space around me when people come and talk to me and share things that I know they don't share with other people. Do my best to suspend any judgment. So what does it mean to have meaningful connection? Is like all the other cornerstones, an ongoing question. It's like, what does it mean to have integrity? What does it mean? What does it imply? Is that really still being truthful to who you are? Who are you anyway?
And I would imagine, does that change from day to day? Do you find who am I to be creative is going to be different from one day to another day, depending on what your situation is?
Initially, many years ago, there was a lot of changes almost every day. I mean, and to some extent, sometimes the game changes for me quite rapidly, like almost every 3 months. Sometimes now it's coming down to almost every week, where the game changes because I'm playing pretty big games. So things open up, and opportunities open up, breakdowns occur, and I have to address those breakdowns almost every day, either for myself or the leaders that I help in various organizations. And so my life is never boring. So it always leads me to ask questions, because the questions I know from habit, from my mentor from a long time ago, he said it's never the destination that's most interesting, it's the journey that's actually more revealing and more interesting. So I like hanging out in the journey of questions.
Oh, that's a nice phrase, isn't it? Let's hang out in the journey of questions.
It's more fun too for me, for someone like me.
Yeah.
So, that journey of questions, when something happens to me, I call it the whisper. It's something that I feel like with you, I feel the whisper that you're up to something huge and I should help you more. So for some other people or some other circumstances, there's a whisper that comes to me and says, Sunil, you're kind of full of shit here in this area. And I have a pretty good antenna for it, for myself.
Yeah.
And so I pause and I look at that, and it's usually two things, two areas now that I've done enough work on this. It's either something I'm avoiding with an honorable intention. So the honorable intention kind of covers up what I'm avoiding, really, so give you tons of examples, but that's one. The other part is something I haven't fully grieved yet from the past. So I take those pretty seriously. I call it the title of my newsletter on LinkedIn is called The Whisper. Because it's the ability to listen for things like that. And most people step over, it's just a minor thing, but it keeps bugging you. And sometimes it's an ambition, sometimes it's a dream that keeps whispering to you, oh, you should be a writer. You're not a business person, that kind of whispering is what I like to engage with. And that whisper kind of keeps me alive actually right now. Yeah.
Have you ever engaged your inner whisperer with kind of like a kinesiology state? Because I find whenever I'm indecisive or not sure what road to go down, I just got into the habit now of kind of standing still and centering myself and asking, is this good for me? Is this good for the community? Is this good for this person? Is this going to work? Is this something I should be considering? And my body just, I just stopped for like maybe 3 to 5 seconds. And my body just, if it's good, it's going to flow forward. And if it's not good, it's going to flow back. And it's so decisive without me mentally going, I really want to do this. I'm going to go forward. It's just, I'm ambivalent to the answer. I just put it out there and it just kind of, my body will tell me the best way to go. Now, obviously, I do not make decisions solely on my own, because part of a community that's called Collaboration Global, I put it out to other people and I get everybody's opinion and everyone's thoughts, and sometimes too many opinions. But the people that are relevant to the decision being made, I will listen to their experience and their wisdom. And mostly the answer bubbles up. It just kind of, it comes, which is wonderful. I would like to ask you, when you consider your values that are so profoundly found and kept for you and that you nurture, in today's world of AI, I have a hidden agenda here, I'll tell you in a minute. In this today's world of AI, how do you feel when you're working with leaders? How do you feel their insights into the fast changing dynamics we have because of AI and the way the world is going with AI? How do you think that is affecting people's values along the way?
That's a really good question, because I deal with AI a lot. I have an AI-based company, and I work with one of my clients actually, who's a top Microsoft AI leader. This is why the answer to your question lies in what I spoke about earlier about the field of ontology, which is asking the question of who you're being. It's also interesting that you mentioned kinesiology, so I'll tie that into the answer. And I've studied AI too because I have a double degree in electrical engineering and computer science. And I came from a school that engaged in a lot of AI at its infancy.
Wow.
So the one thing that AI scientists perhaps, and there's a lot of debate about this, but I think it's one thing they don't quite get is that there's a part of us as a being that's very much embodied. It's in our body. Who we are beings, and you could say embodied to some extent in our body as well as our language. And you see, when you use AI, and if the AI doesn't make you more aware and doesn't bring you up to the point where you're looking at wisdom-based questions rather than tactical. Most people use AI for tactical, strategic questions and answers.
Yeah.
And that gives you a very limited possibilities around AI. But if the AI is elevating you, enabling you to free yourself up to ask the more, some people call it ethereal questions, but they're really higher level questions. Who am I? Who am I being? What should the context be for my life and my leadership of this company? Where am I failing truthfully in supporting my people? A lot of that you cannot answer with AI because even AI will come back and say, I cannot answer that question. Some of them will even be wise enough nowadays to tell you the field that you're interested in is ontology. Ontology is now becoming more and more relevant to the world of AI because what AI is grappling with to some extent is how do you make intuitive decisions that are based in your body? Like you just said, you made those decisions on your muscle testing. You know, how do you do the equivalent? Well, the truth is the AI can't do that. A leader can. A leader who's wise can. A leader who's been trained and can feel their body can. Because in fact, all decisions are fundamentally made on a basis of your language, emotions, or your body. There's a concept in social cognitive neuroscience called, can't remember what it's called, but it's the ability for your brain to connect with your heart and your gut nervous systems, because there's whole beautiful, that's why I say coming from your heart, coming from your gut.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of leaders haven't trained themselves, especially when you're young. You don't have enough experience. You make those kinds of decisions. So if you only make strategic based decisions using your AI could mislead you because there's no fundamental wisdom that only you can really grow. Nobody else can. So the AI, I'm not dismissing AI. I'm saying AI could be used as a collaborative partner. I'm building my AI bot. I think I'll have a superior AI coaching bot. My dream is because I use ontology with it. And I actually test it every day because I have him coach me, it coach me.
Wow.
And it's becoming dangerously better than I am in a lot of ways because he can make instantly connections between disparate ideas that I've introduced him to before. I can't do that, but he cannot make intuitive decisions.
No.
See, so it's very interesting, the world of AI. I tell people who are applying AI, if it doesn't elevate your ability or your attention to making wisdom-based decisions, you're probably going to paint yourself into a silly corner.
That's
and it's going to be a very, very silly corner.
Yeah. I agree. And I think so many people at the moment are being sold the story of use AI and automate everything. And then they use it in things like emails or messages to people. And all I can see from the outside looking in is there are two people there that want to talk to each other, but they've got an AI machine in the middle that's connecting them up. And it's like, you want to get closer together, but you're actually being pushed further apart. It's like, get that out of the way and start making a phone call, actually talking to a real live person or see them face to face. and
Yeah.
have those conversations. And I think we're forgetting how to have those conversations. And I
Yeah.
get where you're talking about the wisdom, but that
Yes.
wisdom is only going to be there if it's been fed with the right information. It goes back to
Right.
a comedy show we used to have on the UK many years ago, where somebody was on the computer, and every time somebody said, "Is that possible? We can do that," and the guy would go,
Computer says no.
"Computer says no," and that was it.
Yeah,
So, and that was
little
it.
Britain.
End of
My,
story.
my wife and I love that show. We love that guy. Yeah,
Daily
computer says
rallying.
no.
Yeah, exactly. And I
Yeah.
think we're going down the same road because we were allowing ourselves for the computer to make, oh, no, no, the computer says, no, what can I do? Well, you've just programmed the computer. You've just used the computer. Let me talk to your
Right.
manager.
Right.
But AI for a lot of people is
Yeah.
the delight of not having to talk to another person because they don't
Right.
want to. So
Right.
they can put that
Yeah.
barrier in between, and it means they don't have to make those conversations. So they're being sold a crock, for whatever expression to use, that
Right.
that they
Right.
think is going to make life easier for them, and actually it's making it more and more difficult, and they're going to lose.
Well,
We're going to lose
yeah.
the art of conversations, Sunil. We're not going to be able to have these kind of conversations. We'll just let
Right.
our two AIs do it for us. Won't that be
That's correct.
easier? I mean,
Yeah.
crazy
Yeah.
world that we live in.
Well, that's why I've taken on a practice of, connecting with my friends and exchanging non-transactional conversations with people, and because I mean, even I can fall into the trap of, because I'm really quite a shy, introverted person. It may not seem like that, but I am, and I get overstimulated sometimes in social situations, so I have to go and just be by myself for a while. But for introverts like me, and even extroverts to a certain extent, there's this addiction to that separation because it just makes life a lot easier to manage and more controlled, etc. But the
Mm.
price we pay is that meaningful connection is lost. And that meaningful connection actually does affect our well-being biologically because we need to be with people either face to face or voice to voice. And that connection generates something, I mean, if you're not flirting or engage in some kind of playful chemistry with other people,
Yeah.
you tend to lose something. You just tend to become very transactional, very mechanical in
Well,
your day-to-day approach. Yeah, yeah,
it affects your well-being in so many different ways. If you don't interact with somebody and maybe have a giggle and have some banter and have a laugh,
yeah,
that's keeping you well. That's keeping your whole physiology
yeah.
lifted for those moments. It's like taking a drug. I had somebody I used to work with, and he said he'd never really laughed uncontrollably unless he was on drugs. I was like, you're kidding me. I said, you did that when you were a child, surely.
Right.
No, no, never done it. I said, I do it nearly every week. He said, well, how? How do you do it without drugs? I said, I have friends. I go and talk to my friends and we have a
Right.
giggle, and
Yeah.
it's silly, or we do something daft, or we play, we have jokes and things. And I think that is being lost where people are used to the
So,
scrolling, and used to kind of their world becomes part of what's on their phone. So
yeah.
I worry that the world we're living in is imploding, and
Right.
humanity is not going to be able to sustain itself because we're all going to be living at arm's length. We're
That's
isolated now. Look at us. We're having a conversation and you're halfway around the world, which is a
that's
great
right.
thing. And we're having this conversation, but so many people are living through the machine rather
That's
than
right.
being able to get on a plane and go and see someone. We've started a tentative world tour of Collaboration Global. So
Oh,
last year we went to Sardinia, where one of our members has emigrated to. He's Sardinian, but he lived in the UK for a long time. So he's gone back over there. So we went to see him. This year
yes.
we went to Crete to see another member who's just emigrated out there. Next year,
Wow.
who knows? Canada, Brazil. Oh,
Oh, I
I
love
thought
that.
somebody in Austria was earlier in the year as well. So we're going around just meeting face to face and giving someone a hug. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
just I know we're business colleagues, but it's like, oh, give me a hug. All I've seen you on is a screen. Let me give you a hug.
Absolutely.
You're a real
Yeah.
life person, and
Yeah.
and that does your health good. There's no
Sure.
two ways
Absolutely.
about it. It makes you feel better.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, I fear for younger people because a lot of them,
Yeah,
don't hug, especially younger men. So I
Wow.
love what you're doing, though. It's so needed to do that, and to connect and hug and connect meaningfully. And this whole idea of intimacy is scary to people. It's
Mm.
becoming scarier and scarier to the newer generation because they don't know. Like there's this fear. They've been so coddled sometimes in some cases that putting themselves at risk with another person is too much for them to handle. So
Yeah.
they don't hug, they don't talk, they don't come out and take a risk to be intimate with people.
Mm.
Intimacy not meaning necessarily physical, even
No,
just hello
emotional. Yeah.
is weird for people. So I love what you're doing because it's a structure for people to connect, and connect face to face,
Yeah.
or voice to voice, which
Yeah.
is really beautiful. And I totally acknowledge you and your community for doing that.
Thank you. Well, tell me about your mission in life. Is this
Ah,
100 million, is that right? 100 million joyful and
100
successful
million.
people in the world. How are you going about that? And where did it come from? Where did you have this creative genius?
Well, I gotta tell you, the I had a lot of missions in my life, and some of them I fulfilled, some I didn't. It turned out that a lot of those missions were kind of like trophies that I kept. I had I did that and did
Yeah.
this,
Tick
that.
that box. Yeah.
And this one, I realized that I needed to make a promise that's almost impossible to keep,
Wow.
to get me out of my skin in a way that was restricting me.
Right.
Um, and the truth is, I still really don't quite know how it's going to come together, but that's the nature of an ontological distinction I call being a stand, taking a stand or being a
Mm.
stand. It has no reason. It's just because. And but it's kind of a cool game to play. Uh, and it then begets a lot of questions. Now, I have some credibility because I built a 200,000 plus community on meetups. I just sold it off because the organization running it was no longer in integrity. I can say that quite clearly. And so I gave away or sold away a lot of those groups. I can restart that again, but it seems to me that what I'm doing is really hitting the leaders. So one thing I didn't mention is the strategy is to unconceal 1 million leaders who can take on this game, who
Wow.
will take on this game, because as a leader, you will inevitably take on this game. So if even 1 million leaders take on 100 people each and make a difference with 100 people, job done right there.
Yeah.
So that's the action
Collaboration.
taken. Yeah. And, I'm working with leaders in that level right now.
Yeah.
Um, and it's not nowhere close to 1 million, but, I'm concealing, I call it unconcealing, where I'm revealing to myself and to other people how we can do this. So it's almost like an unanswerable question, seemingly, but I found that as you ask unanswerable questions, you start discovering answers.
Yeah.
It's like, when Kennedy said we're gonna put a man on the moon by the end of the decade. Even some of the
Yeah.
scientists said we can't do that.
Yeah.
And then it behooves some scientists to say, well, maybe we're not asking the right questions. So they started asking the right questions. So the question is really not so much how I do this. It's just an important question and answer, but who am I going to be in the course of doing it? So I had to give up certain ways of being like, this is the way to do it. You got to do it by social media, blah, blah, blah. And I looked at that and said, well, social media doesn't really by itself create a very outstanding community.
No.
It's people like you who create communities, and there are people like you who do that I'd like to engage with and support as much as possible. So my support is really from a way of being, or being what
Yeah.
Martin Heidegger, is a brilliant philosopher, said, being a clearing, which is not about force, but it's really being a clearing and opening for people to show up as leaders who can make a difference for millions of people around. So it's being a clearing for that to occur that's more important.
That reminds me of the quote by Rumi, out there is a field where there is no right or wrong. I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there.
I'll meet you there.
And I love that. And we say that about Collaboration Global. When we have conversations and we have some controversial topics, we just, let's do this. Let's talk about Brexit and the politics and all that kind of thing.
Right.
And we say, but there's no right or wrong. So the co-glow rules are, there's no right or wrong. We're coming from a foundation of love.
Yes.
And we're coming with respect for our fellow humans, because we are all the same under the sun. We are human beings, irrespective of all the labels, whether you think you're an introvert or an extrovert, we'll take those labels out of the way. Nice. Whatever it is, what color of your skin, what sexual orientation, what gender, what age, how rich you are, poor you are, take that out of the way. And we can talk about anything. And when somebody says something and you get triggered, well, if you're in a space of there's no right or wrong, you're the one that's been triggered. So you have to work it out. And the only way to work it out is to say, in all honesty, what you just said has triggered me and I want to understand it. Can you explain why you said that thing? Because I want to understand it more. And if we're not going to work on ourselves, how can we help and support other people?
Yeah. Well, and I love that. Yeah.
Well, that's part of the purpose of coming together as Collaboration Global. We're learning a different way of being. Out in that world is fear, scarcity, and competition. And I don't know if you looked at the world recently, it's not working. But in the co-glow world, in our online country, our paradigm is love, connection, and abundance.
Yeah.
And that seems to be a different ball game. And that seems to be a place where we can have no right or wrong. We don't have political sides. We don't have, well, if you're right, or if you're wrong, then I'm going to defend my right, and I'm going to be right and you're going to be wrong. No, it's all made up. Right and wrong is all made up. So we don't have to go down that road of defending ourselves. So we can listen, then we can hear what's being said, and then we can choose. And sometimes we choose to agree to disagree. But we are more enlightened as a result of the conversation that I call a grown-up conversation, although some grown-ups aren't able to do it. And it just means that the community are growing together because they're learning from each other. So I love what you're doing. You're bringing good people together to get that 100 million number done. I don't know how you're going to measure it. I don't know how you're going to bring everyone together, but what you'll find is like goes to like. So in our community, we have a lot of people with huge followings, but they are very aligned to what we are aligned to. So it makes sense that their followings will want to come and find out about us, and our members will want to go out and find out about them, because there's no competition. We don't have that in Collaboration Global. So we don't worry about, well, they're doing the same thing as us, because no, we're us and that's them, and let's get together because we're doing something similar. There's a guy over in New York, Jonathan Rosen, who says he's my brother because we are doing the same thing on different sides of the pond, but it's different. It's the same, but it's different. And and our members go to his meetings and his members come to our meetings, and we all get to learn about each other along the way.
Oh, that's wonderful. What a wonderful model. If you found a whole bunch of other people, I'm sure there are, you could, make a huge difference in the world. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, have you come across this guy? This will make you laugh. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Nick Adkins wears these socks every day of the year, and he wears a kilt as well. So you can see these fabulous socks, and he gives them away to people. So he sent a pair over to me, and he says, the world is full of good. When you believe it, you see it. Keep doing that.
Oh,
and that's all. And he went viral with this on I think it's Instagram or somewhere. And it is just about good people coming together. Then you can make a difference. I have one last question before we wrap up, which might be a long one. I don't know. You've got 6 values. Yeah. One of our values, we've only got 3, but there's a lot comes underneath those 3. We have behaviors and mindset that go with it as well. But our main one is love, and that is our superpower. And we've taken that from Buckminster Fuller, who talks about ephemeralization, where you can do, as you learn more, you can do more and more with less and less. He said, but the ultimate ephemeralization is something you can't see, you can't touch, you can't smell, you can't taste. It's love. And it is our superpower, and it's the strongest thing we have on this planet because it connects every single human being.
Right.
So where in your values and in your makeup of who you are and what you do, where does love stand in the makeup of things?
You know, it's a really good, lovely question because there's nothing that I do that isn't based in love. Everything I do has to be based in love. If it's not based in love, I just don't do it. And that's about all I can really say about that. You know, yeah, love is one of those things that you don't really need to have a reason for. But you have every reason in the world to have in your life.
Yeah.
And with love comes the necessity to learn how to communicate well, like your collaboration group does,
Yeah.
suspending judgment and righteousness and right or wrong. You know, and but I think with love too, something that people don't usually engage in is this art and science of creating chemistry with people. You know, it's there's romantic chemistry for sure, but there's also chemistry as peers and chemistry as playmate siblings. You know, and we don't engage enough in that chemistry as well, because I think that also presents love for people, communication and chemistry. So that's where it shows up for me, is looking at how I can create that chemistry within all the 6 cornerstones that I have. Um, Love is certainly important. It's, you know, I'm a writer. When I write from love, there's a certain quality to the article.
Yeah.
Don't write from love so much. It's still not a bad article, but there's something missing in it.
It's
And
a
I
bit
guess,
like when you cook a meal for someone you love and it's
yeah,
done with care and kindness and love. It
that's right.
tastes so much better than when you just
It's
fling it all together. And
amazing. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. My mother, when she was alive, made this fried fish, Indian
Mm.
style, which nobody in the world can mimic. I've never found it. It just, you know, I tried. She gave me the recipe, told me, Monet, you know, you should try this and just do it. And I said, I've tried many times, Amma, but it just never comes out the way you do it.
She sprinkles it with love, that's why. So if you haven't done that bit, you've missed
I
out the
haven't
vital
done that
ingredient.
bit, and maybe I can't because she brings a certain maternal love that
Yeah,
I don't know
very
if I'm
special.
capable of that. Yeah.
So basically what you're saying is that of all your beautiful values, love is intrinsic within you and within them as well, which is beautiful.
I would say so. Yeah. I mean, I hate to say that it's the king, you know, of my cornerstones, but I think it's just the sea I swim in now, or I love to swim.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, you know, yeah, I'm very present to love. I'm blessed with it. I have people who love me and I love them. I'm in communication with them almost every day. Um, I care for them. You know, there's a caring that I think has been missing in my life before, that I've bring more to the forth now than I have before. And I'd love to see more of that caring show up in the world because it's just missing, you know.
Yeah.
Uh,
Good
so
time.
yeah,
Yeah.
really
Thank
good
you.
question. Thank you.
If um if you were to be remembered for something 50 years down the line and everyone goes, oh yeah, Sunil, oh, I remember him. What would you like to be remembered for?
You know, I would say humor and a sense of irony.
Oh, that's good.
Irony, you know, where, you know, irony is in many forms, but there's dramatic irony. But I like philosophical irony where, you know, humor explores this a lot, right? Where there's a surface truth that people kind of bandy about, you know, oh, I'm this kind of person. But then the real truth is you're not quite that person.
Mm,
But that journey
yeah.
between the surface truth and the core truth is it's irony, but it's also transformation. And that journey can be done, doesn't have to be done in a dramatic way. It can be done with humor and lightness. So I try to impart that to my nephews as much as I can without being too significant and dramatic about it. And everybody around me, I leave a little bit of irony about it, about life, that maybe it's not that significant. You Brits are really good at it when you can be.
Yeah. So I've been told. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? How some humor doesn't translate. Same language, supposedly, but it doesn't
Yeah,
translate across the pond. Interesting.
yeah.
Um, Thank you so much, Sunil. I wish you every success with your mission. I think it's a beautiful one to hold dear. And if I can help you in any way with that, I will be more than happy to share that with my community and beyond. Um, I love all of your values and what they stand for. If somebody wanted to find out more about you, or maybe read some of your books that you've written or your articles,
Yeah.
what's the easiest way of them to get in touch with you?
The recording shows my name, the correct spelling too. Thank you. Actually, that's mine, but Sunil Bhaskaran, sunilbhaskaran.com or Sunil Bhaskaran on LinkedIn. There's another gentleman by the name of Sunil Bhaskaran who heads, I think, Tata Industries or a big company in India. You'll see that his photograph looks nothing like me. A lot more handsome than I am. But yeah, sunilbhaskaran.com or connect with me on LinkedIn. You can join my Substack. I have a Substack under my name too, Sunil Bhaskaran. And you can also come on LinkedIn and join my free newsletter called The Whisper. And you can read my writings that I do fairly often. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. And hopefully, Sunil will be coming to a Collaboration Global session soon. We can be introducing him to our members. So if you want to come along as a guest to that session, you can just go to collaborationglobal.org and sign yourself up and hopefully meet myself and Sunil at one of the next sessions. That'd be great. Thank you again, Sunil. It's been an absolute joy. And I'm sure our paths will cross very soon.
I'm sure it will. Thank you.
Thank you.